To start this exercise, place the target ankle, so our right ankle on the left knee. Push the right knee down a little bit and then rotate out to your left side. From there, you're going to look to your right. You're going to turn the head to the right side here, and we're going to hang out here for 2 minutes. So the goal in this exercise is to unwind the pelvis from the hip, right? So you're yanking that right hip away from the pelvis to get better at external rotation in the hip, right? So you really want to keep that leg, the target leg, so the right leg, relatively straight, right? Notice how the knee is kind of pointing towards the ceiling. It's not bent so much toward facing toward my chest, right? It's moving more away from me, which is kind of something you want to think about. You want to cue that, right? You don't want that knee coming towards you too much. You really want it getting pushed away from you. And from there, you're really just sitting in it and breathing and relaxing, right? Not really trying to do too much here. So many positions that improve hip external rotation. There's a lot of effort, but for now, most of us are just not there yet, right? So we really just want to allow the body to unwind itself as opposed to us putting a lot of effort on there. So just relaxing in it, paying attention, breathing. What does it feel like when we bring that right hip into external rotation? How restricted does it feel? How tight does it feel? Just answering these questions in our mind without too much judgment. And keeping a nice, steady breath. Okay, that's 2 minutes on that side. So now we're going to slowly come up. We're going to place now, we're going to set another timer and place our left ankle on our right knee. Push that left knee down and then rotate to our right side and turn our head to our left. So very important part here is how much different does the left side feel from the right? Does one side significantly more restricted or feel tighter than the other side? That tells us a lot about the function of our hips, right? Especially at this point, we're trying to work through some hip discomfort, and then if one side is significantly more difficult than the other side, I mean, that tells us something about the way our hips are functioning, and it's an important observation. Again, not like we need to do anything about it, right? It's not like you need to do the more restricted side more now, or we need to zero in on right hip external rotation. That's not necessarily true. It's just something it's important to be aware of it, right? It's important to know what your biases are and what your limitations are and what your imbalances are as you work through and continue to build function in your body. Keeping that left knee pointing towards the ceiling, not flopping too much toward you. Keep it pushed away. We got about 20 seconds here. Keep breathing, keep watching. We're working our way now for 2 minutes, and that's good for this exercise. Come up slowly. Good job. For the glute conversation, we're going to want 2 rolled up towels. As you see, I already have one rolled up for my neck, and I'm going to roll up another one for my low back. And you want the width of it to be about your grip, right? That's when you know you have a thick enough towel. So you're going to place one rolled up towel under your low back, and you're going to place the other rolled up towel under your neck. And this is to ensure proper spinal alignment. And then you're going to grab a strap, and you're going to place the strap right above the knees and clip it in or tie it or whatever you need to do. And from there, just check your feet. Make sure both feet are pointing straight, they're aligned, and the middle middle toe is pointing straight as well, so you're a little pigeon-toed. And then make sure the towels are in the good position, one behind the back, one behind the neck. Always good to do a last minute check on the feet, because a lot of times one foot will point out, or there will be some type of poor alignment there. But once you feel like you're in pretty good position, then the setup is important, and I know it's tedious, but because you're going to be in here for 8, 9, 10 minutes, you want to make sure that you're in the right position, right? So you don't have to continuously adjust when you're in it. So once you're in it, you are in it, right? You are relaxing, you are breathing, and you're ready to sit in this position for a long time. And while you're in this position, we have a slight pushing out in the knees, right? So we're trying to engage our glutes with a 20 to 40, 50% contraction, right? We're not trying to go all out here. We're not trying to, push out with all our might. Instead, we're just trying to get a nice, gentle, but strong contraction into the band. And while we're here, we're trying to pay attention to what's happening, right? We're observing. So if the upper body tries to get involved in any way, whether it be the neck or the core or the low back, we want to notice that, and we want to try to relax that. We want to try to relax the upper body. We don't want the upper body to do the hips work, right? And that's really common for many people. So make sure this is really happening at the hips, and more specifically at the glutes. And one helpful strategy to relax and to bring the awareness to the body if the mind starts going somewhere else or anything else is to just bring the attention to the breath, right? Pay attention to the inhale, pay attention to the exhale. If you're a meditator, it's a good time to bring that type of intention here, right? Building that muscle memory awareness with the glutes and the hips, but calming everything else down that's happening in the mind or body. And trust that you're in a good position. This position really teaches you finally to start letting go. You don't have to do anything. The strap, the towels are placed in a strategic position to ensure that your alignment is good. So whatever the body's doing, whatever you're feeling, is what it is, right? Allow things to kind of happen and allow your body to figure it out. It may feel like you're rotated in a weird way, but what I found is that your posture is probably usually rotated, and the towels and the strap is finally putting you into better alignment. So it may feel strange, it may feel weird to finally be in a good, healthy position. So that's some food for thought and something to pay attention to while you're in this position. And not to judge it either, right? Just to observe, feels weird. Maybe one glute is contracting more than the other. Maybe the neck is consistently trying to shrug. All these things are not things to judge, but things to observe, because it tells us what else is happening in our bodies on a day-to-day basis. And I'm probably going to be in here for about 6 to 7 minutes, but I encourage you to stay here for 10 minutes. Maybe longer than that's a little bit unreasonable, but 5 to 10 minutes in this position is really where you get the most value. This isn't a quick getting a couple of reps and go on with your day. It's an experience, right? It's an opportunity to build more body awareness and that's how you get more out of this exercise, by continuously being in here for a while and building more body awareness. And just a reminder to continuously keep that tension onto the band. Not too much, but not too little either. You don't want to get complacent here. Make sure that's maybe at this point you could push a little bit more, maybe get that up to about 40-50%. And another reminder also to keep the upper body relaxed, right? The upper body doesn't need to do anything here. And if it is, it's, something to note, and see if you can bring the awareness to the breath and relax that upper body even a little bit more. And notice how my arms are, you can't see my left arm, but I'm trying to keep my arms on both sides in the same position, right? I don't want one arm higher than the other. And we're just trying to do our best to keep balance on both sides. And we're not looking for perfection, right? We're not looking for the perfect balance on both sides, because that's impossible, even in exercises. But we're just trying to do our best. And if something's really obvious, cue it and adjust. So I'm about to get out of this position, but feel free to stay here for longer. Anywhere up to 10 minutes is great. In the wall stork exercise, we're going to place the entire back of our body against the wall. That includes our heels, the back of our knees, our hips, and our back and our head. Then we're gonna start with the left leg raise first. So we're gonna bring the leg on an elevated surface, and it's important that we try to get alignment here, right? So on the lifted leg, we want the ankle aligned with the knee and the knee aligned with the hip. We want that nice 90-degree angle. Then we're going to place our fingers, the thumb's going to place the bottom of our rib cage, and the middle finger will touch the pointy parts of our hip bone. We want to make sure that our pelvis there and rib cage is level, right? We don't want one of our sides of our rib cage and pelvis to be much higher than the other. So just gently level that out. And when you do level it out, you may feel a difference in the exercise, and that's good. We want everything to be nice and aligned and in good position when we're in this movement. So throughout the exercise, you'll see me kind of check in on the pelvis, so I want you to do the same. The next thing we want to pay attention to is that right leg. We want to make sure that it stays straight. We don't want it bent. We want the quad in that right leg contracted. We want to feel like we're pushing up towards the ceiling using that right leg. That right leg is really the target leg, especially the right hip. Now, that's not to say you might not feel things in the elevated left leg, but feeling work and activity going on in that right hip is really crucial here, and is what is going to get us stronger in this type of one leg standing position. And we're in this position a lot, right? Walking, running. It's very important to be stable and strong with one leg like this. So upper body, not doing much here. Just breathing and really thinking about standing strong, upright, and not relying too much on the upper body. You may also feel a nice stretch in the front of the right hip. That's fine too, right? That hip flexor definitely needs to stretch out a little bit, especially if you're not used to the leg being so straight and taking on this much load. So just breathe, not judging, and paying attention to what's happening in our body in this position. We got about 5 to 10 seconds left. And that's about 3 minutes on this side. And now we're going to slowly lift that left leg off of the surface, and now we're going to do the other side. So same setup. We're going to place the entire body against the wall, and then we're going to lift our right leg. When you lift the leg, try not to shift too much from side to side. As you get better with this exercise, it'll get easier. But just pay attention to that when you lift that leg. It doesn't have to be perfect, and you might shift a little bit, but just every time you do the exercise, try not shifting too much when you lift that elevated leg. So in this side here, we're going to be doing the same thing, right? Making sure that our pelvis and rib cage is level, making sure that the elevated leg is at 90 degrees, the ankle is aligned with the knee, and the knee is aligned with the hip, and staying strong in that left leg, making sure we're getting the quad contracting, and we're making sure that that leg stays straight, and we're not relying too much on the upper body. Really, another really important aspect here is how much different does this side feel compared to the other side. Now you already might have some insight if you've done the single leg balance reflections or the single leg balance assessments, but understanding which side is weaker in this exercise really tells us a lot about our movement, right? Because when we walk, if we can't place our body weight and our load equally on both legs and both hips, that's going to affect how we feel. It's going to affect how we feel throughout the day, but especially when walking, running, or any type of activity where we have to shift our body weight from one leg to the other. Upper body stays relaxed. Really just trying to see if you can connect with that left hip in this position. Every now and then checking in on the pelvis. It would be helpful if you had a mirror in front of you and you can actually see how level your pelvis is, right? And you can routinely check in on there. Because sometimes it's hard in this position to look down and really know from that angle whether we're level. So something to pay attention to and integrate eventually. It could be very useful for you. Okay, we have about 30 seconds left, and we want to finish strong here. Really keeping that left leg nice and straight. Staying strong in the hip and the quad. Relaxing the upper body. And breathing through these last few seconds here. Final check of the pelvis, for me at least. And good job. That's 3 minutes on each side. That's all for today. To start this exercise, stand near a wall and you're going to bring your arms out in front of you and lock your elbows out. Then you're going to walk to the wall, and when your hands touch the wall, you're going to take 2 steps behind you. From there, you're going to contract the quads the best you can, and then you're going to drive your hips back while bringing your upper body down. You want those feet about hip width apart and pointing straight. From here, it's important that you maintain that contraction in the front of the thighs. You're probably going to feel a nice stretch in the calves and hamstrings, which is good, but we don't want it just to be a calf and hamstring stretch. We want to make sure the front of our hips are also working. Moving on to the upper body, those shoulders are coming down and away, and they're trying to work along with the hips here. It's not the neck that's taking too much of the work and tension here. So keep those arms straight and keep those shoulders active throughout this exercise. One thing that you could play around with, and you don't have to do this right away, is to try to get a little bit more of a low back arch and a little bit of an anterior tilt. It's more important for the hips to be aligned with the ankles. So imagine like there's a straight line coming from the ankles to the hips. Now, if that is not happening, make that a priority. Try to get those hips back enough to get them aligned with your ankles. If they are aligned, then you can start experimenting with that anterior tilt to get more of the front of those hip flexors working and getting engaged. But just like with all the exercises we do, don't try to get too many cues at once. What's that one thing you want to work on today, and focus on that. If it's just getting the hips back enough, it's just getting the quads contracted, focus on that until you master that part of the exercise, and then move on to the next. We got about 20 seconds left here, so let's continue breathing. Continue contracting those quads, keeping those legs straight, and relaxing the neck. And great job. That is the counter stretch. When you're ready, pick up your left leg while balancing on your right leg. And just take note of how you're feeling today in this position. Does the right foot feel stable? Do you feel shaky? And then when you're ready, do the same thing on the other side. Checking in how the left foot feels and how the left hip feel in this position.